Now I've spent a small fortune on virtual sample instruments, virtual libraries, since I was probably introduced to Spitfire Audio, I'm going to say 2013. Since then, it kind of set me off on a journey of getting my hands on whatever incredible sound I was able to. Were all the purchases valid? No. Some were better than others. Some libraries proved to be more useful than others. I'm at a point now where I really have to make sure that whatever sounds or production tools that I invest in, there has to be a good return on that investment. I've stayed away from East-West from the get-go, and that was mostly just because a lot of the negativity that centered around their Play engine. So enter Composer Cloud. Not everyone is a fan of subscription-based content, but for me, I was willing to give it a try. And I have to say, for the amount of content that is available on it, I think you're getting incredible value for your money. You're getting an incredible return on your investment. Particularly, we're going to highlight the Hollywood Strings 2. Now, again, because I'm new to East-West, I'm not going to be comparing these libraries to other libraries. I'm not going to be comparing East-West to Spitfire or any other company because it's still relatively new for me. This is just kind of my first impressions of what I think of the sounds, what my general opinion is of a Composer Cloud, what my general opinion is of Hollywood Strings 2. Usually I sketch things out on piano just because that's the instrument that I'm most comfortable using and I can get things done quickly. So usually it's kind of a piano sketch. I'll come up with just some kind of a collection of chords, small idea. I'll at the very least have the key of the song, and usually at that point I'll set the tempo of the song. That's pretty much how I start everything. I did fool around with some piano sounds from the Composer Cloud. They didn't blow me away. Normally my go-to library is Noir from Native Instruments, but while Noir is amazing, it's not particularly good necessarily at cutting through a mix, especially a busy mix with a lot of things going on. And I wanted more of a kind of a traditional kind of, I don't want to say classical sound, but I wanted something with a little more attack that would kind of cut through the mix a little bit. So went with the Grandeur. First of all, my general impressions of the Opus. Again, it's my first time using the Opus engine. I found it lots of fun to use. Very, very clean interface. Zero problems. Zero performance problems. No CPU issues. No loading issues. What can I say is I really like the interface. And just being able to go in and browse all of the sounds that you have, being able to search through sounds and find them quickly, load them quickly, being able to only download just the individual patches that you need or articulations that you need. Very, very cool. I went nuts. I went on like a download just frenzy. So I just picked some of my favorite libraries based on walkthroughs and based on other composers that I've spoken to. And I plan on digging really deep. The piano's Platinum Steinway AD was the one that I used that I wasn't in love with. So I'm not sure how old their piano libraries. Some of these might just need to be updated. Some of their libraries, it seems to me, have been around for quite a while. Maybe they just need some updating. That being said, a good sound that's recorded really well, that's sampled really well, 10 years later will still be a really good sound. Spectrasonics Omnisphere is a prime example. How old is that library? It's as useful and as popular as it's ever been. So I'm not really one to judge the age of a library. If it sounds good, I don't really care how old it is. And I think that's part of maybe the enduring nature of the East-West sounds is because the orchestra was so well sampled initially that it still sounds like an orchestra. 99% of people are not going to be able to tell the difference between, these samples and a real orchestra, maybe more than 99%. So we start off with this patch. I went with mostly, in the Hollywood Strings, you have these kind of moods. So I went with soft primarily because I wanted kind of a soft kind of piano strings track. So let's check this out. Helps if I find the actual range. Very, very nice intimate sound. This is the first violins, harmonics. I tend to like the really light to touch sounds, not really heavy-handed sounds, depending on the track for this particular track. So very, very useful sound. And I will say the release of these strings is some of the best that I've heard. Next up, we have the first violins sustain patch. Again, very, very clean release on these sounds. Then we went with... There was no particular reason for why I chose these certain patches. I just literally went through and picked ones that sounded good. Second violins, flotando. I always like flotando patches. Lovely, lovely sound. Then we have second violins, legato slur. Let me just move this over for you. So as I'm doing all this, I'm just using CC1 is actually mapped, just maps automatically to I'm using the APC 40 Mark II. So I'm just riding this pretty much the whole time. The APC 40 I use for live looping is what I use it for, but if I can use it for other things, then I certainly will. It's got that airy kind of sound to it. Lovely, lovely sound, that one. Cello harmonics. Let's check this out. Trying to really give you a sense of the release and the attack. Absolutely gorgeous sound. That's probably one of my favorite patches. Then we got the basses. I think we got slur legato going on here. You got that low kind of aggressive sound. I just use that for one tiny little portion of the composition. And that pretty much concludes the Hollywood Strings 2 portion of the composition. And then because East West is kind of new to me, I figured I'd throw in some Hollywood orchestra patches in there. So I'll go over those as well, even though Hollywood Strings 2 is kind of the focus of this. And from what I gather, they resampled when Opus came out. They resampled and added additional content to their Hollywood Orchestra, from my understanding. So this is a lot of fun for me, because this also marks the first time that I've had representation from the entire orchestra. I've had bits and pieces, and I've had sections, but to be able to just go and find if I want a clarinet, if I want a flute, if I want an oboe. I think when you're composing, you want to have no boundaries. You want to be able to have representation from the entire orchestra. To just have that accessible at your fingertips, being able to download only the articulations that you want, I think, again, are really useful things to have. And that's one of the big reasons why I figured I'd try out Composer Cloud. So far, so good. We have the clarinet legato slur. Went with the light. I used to play clarinet when I was a kid. I was never very good. I can tell you that this clarinet sounds a heck of a lot better. I mean, that sounds exactly like a clarinet. I mean, there's no mistaking these patches, the realism of them. I'm pretty blown away by. So then we have, what do we got here? French horns, sustained. Very, very cool sound. Legato patch articulation, I should say. I mean, these to me sound incredibly authentic and fairly easy to program and use. So then we have the Basis Hollywood Orchestra. What we got going on here? We got the Basis sustain patch. Again, very, very nice sound. And then I figured, and this will be probably the next video that I'll probably do, will be on the Fantasy Orchestra series, which is, there's a lot of really cool sounds. And I was like, yeah, I want some flutes. So we got the flutes sustain patch. Oh, hang on. Absolutely beautiful sound. They got that really, really kind of airy sound, which I just thought would work well. So there's just a little bit going on there. There's a little bit of French horns, a little bit of clarinets, a little bit of flutes that are outside of the Hollywood Strings too. That's pretty much it. We run everything is running into one auxiliary instance of the East-West Spaces 2 convolution reverb. Didn't mess around with this a whole lot. I messed around with the pre-delay a little bit. Filters, I believe just a low cut, about 200 hertz low cut off of this. Aside from that, I didn't really spend a whole lot of time messing around with the convolution reverb. That's something that I will kind of get into, but and just threw a little bit of reverb all across the board. You do want to make sure that, I think the default Opus, when you open the patches, they do have a default that the reverb will be turned on the individual patches. You want to make sure that you turn that off, and then set up one instance on the auxiliary channel. At least that's the way that I do it. I find that's the best way, and then you can send everything to the same reverb. So it sounds like it's recorded in the same space. And that is pretty much it. There's no other processing going on, no compression, no EQ, absolutely nothing. The sounds you're hearing are just straight out of the box pretty much. I didn't really tweak with them whatsoever. I just kind of wanted to see what the library was capable of doing and how it sounded without kind of changing anything. So in a second, we'll play the entire song. And so in terms of my final thoughts, Composer Cloud, I think, is just an incredible bang for your buck. I think there's just some absolute gem sounds just from my brief interaction that I've had. There's a ton of extremely usable content. The Opus engine seems, as far as I can tell, to have solved the issues that play in terms of loading times and all that kind of stuff. Haven't experienced any issues with the Opus engine. So do I think Composer Cloud is worth it? Absolutely. I think they have a free trial. So if you're curious at all, just sign up and do the free trial, download some sounds, play around with it. And I think at the end of that free trial, you're going to be like, man, there's a ton of usable stuff in here. And in terms of being able to have access to all the new libraries that come out, it's kind of a win-win. So for me, this is going to be kind of my focus right now. Will I stop buying libraries altogether from other companies? No. But I'll be buying a lot less of them. And I'll be really focusing on spending the least amount of money on plugins and getting the most out of those. Because at the end of the day, you really have to look at your profit margins. And if you're spending all the money that you're earning for whatever project you have on plugins, then you got yourself a big problem. So if you want to save cash, if you want a ton of really good samples, and you want to not be held back from not being able to afford, bigger, newer libraries, I think this is a primo solution. If you're new to composing, if you're a student, if you're like me and you have a bunch of libraries already, but you want a full representation of the entire orchestra, this to me is your best bet. So that's it, my friends. I'll try to start pumping out some regular content again. I know it's been a little bit erratic with my YouTube videos, so let me know if there's anything particular that you'd like me to do a video on. I probably will be doing a video on the fantasy series, and certainly Forbidden Planet, I think, is another one that I really want to that works with the style of music that I do. So leave in the comments. Let me know if you have favorite patches. Let me know what your experiences are with East West. You can catch me on Twitch weekly with these production sessions. I also do some live looping sessions. Links in the description will be linked to versions of these songs, which then have been mixed and mastered, that you can listen to on Spotify, Apple Music. Best way to support me is on Bandcamp, where we actually get paid as artists for the content that we put out. Just come out and check out a Twitch live stream sometime. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll have fun. We have an amazing community over there. That's it, my friends. Stay safe. Catch you in the next one.
you.